Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I just want to acknowledge, first of all, that Pointman PR, like all of you, is in fact a family company. My wife is here, Rachel Ott. If you've seen a stunning Amazon dark-haired woman in the gallery, that was probably her. And she often asks me, "Hey, what did you speak about at that thing?" And I'll say something typically like, "I don't really remember." So I thought I'd bring her today so that she could see what it's all about. So I thought I'd start with a little bit about my story. We're supposed to be telling our stories. So as Andrew said, yes, I cut my teeth in the broadcast industry. I worked at CTV National News, at City TV, and at Global for about 8 years. This is actually the only broadcaster that I haven't worked at. So the private broadcasting has always been very mysterious. What happens at the CBC, who knows? So it's exciting to be here for me. So today we're going to talk about 3 ways to make anything newsworthy. So this is starting with my story, kind of a graphic illustration of what working on the night shift was like at Global TV, because for about 2 years I worked from midnight until 8 in the morning. The cat is about the size of the raccoons that you would see go by the assignment desk at Global TV at 3 o'clock in the morning, but less cat, more raccoon in that sense. So working on the night shift, here I am, much younger, 1995. Friends was probably the most popular show on Global TV at that time. I had significantly less gray hair, and I was probably in this photo, and this is the entire newsroom. Robert Fisher is lying on the anchor desk. I'm probably struggling to stay awake because of the midnight until 8 in the morning shift. So the reason I mention this is I want you to understand what an assignment editor is going through and what their life is like when you're pitching them a story about your business. So while I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I think it probably took significant years off of my life, what I did learn from doing this overnight shift was going through tons of news releases. They were faxed back then, so remember it was 1995. So I would have to go through 300 news releases from all kinds of companies, pitching all kinds of things. So what that really taught me was most of what the media gets pitched isn't newsworthy, and it's not even close. Out of that 300 news releases, maybe 10, 15 of them get into the file, and maybe 2 or 3 become news stories. But there's no reason that you can't create your own news. So the hard truth about that is that only 1 in 10 companies have something that's truly newsworthy to talk about. That means that 9 out of 10 companies need to apply some kind of spin in order to secure news media coverage. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, spin's a bad word. We don't want to do spin. But spin is your friend. Spin is the difference between getting on the news and not getting on the news. So embrace the spin. Let's all agree that spin, for the purposes of this presentation, that spin is a good word and a good thing. So now you're thinking, hey, he's not talking about me. I'm that 1 in 10 that has a really great story just talking about what we do. We have the best people. We have the best product. It's fantastic. I don't mean to burst your bubble, but you're not. You're probably not. If you're out there and you're hearing my voice right now, you're probably not the 1 in 10. So then what do you do? Well, basically, you have to remember that assignment desks across the country, whether they're broadcast, print, radio, or anything else, they're getting hundreds of calls, thousands of emails a day. Everyone thinks they have the best product. Everyone thinks they do the most interesting thing. So they say things like, hey, we're redefining the landscape with best-of-breed IT solutions. This is very exciting. Or they'll say things like, this is the must-have fashion item for 2013. You must have this. You must wear this. Can we send you a case of these? Sometimes it works if you send people stuff. Or things like, we help entrepreneurs define and reach their sales potential by streamlining their goals with dynamic coaching, integrated, robust, that kind of thing. Not particularly engaging. So, fair enough. So what does work? How do you get the media's attention? So, great pitches are creative and original. They're different from what your competitors say. They say something new, different, or controversial. They identify a trend, and they tell the media or the audience something that they didn't know. So use that as your guideline. Or they further stories that are already in the media. So newsjacking is the first device of getting anything to be newsworthy that I want to talk about. And it was coined by a guy named David Meerman Smith, PR guy out of the US. And it's the not-so-simple act of capitalizing on breaking news stories to gain immediate news coverage for your company, product, or service. So with newsjacking, how does something like that work? How do you apply it to your business? So step one is very simply watch the news, read the newspaper, spot trends, and find breaking or topical news that you can relate back to your company, regardless of what it is that you do. You know, right now, pretty much anything that you could talk about that would relate to Rob Ford would probably be a pretty good pitch. It's not a great time to be a PR guy. I'm looking forward to spending the day here because, hey, you can't pitch anything when there's an apocalyptic story like a Rob Ford resignation crackgate in the media. Step two, be first. The second guy to call the newsroom gets put on hold indefinitely. That is not the guy they're going to talk to. It's all about being the first out of the gate and getting to the reporter who's doing the story and being the first to do that. Step three is to shamelessly and enthusiastically promote your pitch and availability to comment directly to the news media. So be prepared to convince the media that you have the best perspective on whatever the issue is that you're pitching. So what you want to do is anticipate what questions the media will ask you. Do a Q&A, practice in front of a mirror, get some media training, know your stuff inside and out, because a lot of the time the media will do a pre-interview over the phone. And if you don't have the facts then at your fingertips, then they're probably going to go to somebody else. Step four is to be enormously pleased by your cleverness for being so proactive. You reap the rewards of being positively portrayed as an expert, resource, or problem solver by the news media. And I think probably you've all had an experience of getting news coverage and the kind of momentum that can give to your product or company. So how do you do that for your business? How do you directly relate it to you and what you do? Make something up. You can. It's all right. You can make something up and pitch it to the news media. But you have to be very clever about what it is that you make up and how you do it. So here's a good example. What are those, you ask? Those are downloadable digital lawn signs, according to Pointman Public Relations. So this was for a client called Spark Internet Marketing, company here in Toronto. They are a SEO pay-per-click company. They do great work. They came to us and they said, you know, we want to get a whole bunch of media coverage because we're going to be doing some sales calls. So we want to make sure that when we go out there, people have heard the name and they're familiar with the brand. So this was one of those conversations that I get a lot of, where they said, you know what, we have the best people, we do the best work, we're the most innovative. And while I don't doubt that that's true, the problem is that there's 400 people in Toronto saying the same thing to the media trying to promote themselves. So you have to do something really different, really outside the box. So in this case, it was 2008, there was an incredibly boring federal election happening at the time. And because you know that all the media in Canada are on the bus with the NDP, on the bus with the Conservatives, desperately looking for something interesting to happen in the election to cover, we come up with this concept of downloadable digital lawn signs. In fact, my wife Rachel helped me with it. She'll be very happy that I mentioned that. Big brownie points for me. And basically the idea was, you know, people don't have lawns, but they want to support a party and they want to get excited about the election. So they would take these signs and attach them to their emails, their web pages, all of their social media attributes. Now, you could go to just about any of the party sites and get something that was, you know, a small sign to attach to your email, but no one branded them as downloadable digital lawn signs. It drove traffic to the Spark site. They got a ton of media coverage out of it. And according to the client, they had more coverage on their site, more hits on their site that week than the Obama campaign site did at the same time. And that was right around the time, October something, right around the time of the US federal election as well. So be clever. Do something really different. Number 2 is turn it into a tip. So turning it into a tip establishes your expertise. It easily explains complicated concepts. You know, you could do something like top 10 ways to prepare for a management transition. Top 5 mistakes that you make managing millennials. Millennials, great stuff. Endless fountain of media. Or 3 things in your kitchen that will kill you at dinner. We've all seen those promos on the news, you know, something exciting. Turn it into a tip. And it works well across a wide variety of media. And it's easy to quantify, understand, and convey to readers, viewers, listeners, whatever the medium is. So the example I have here is, this is a guy, Bruce Mayhew Consulting. He's a guy who works in Toronto. He basically does corporate training sessions. So we've done 2 things for him. We've done Canada's most egregious email errors. Lots of alliteration there. Bonus points for alliteration, by the way. Media love alliteration. And millenitude. So speaking of millennials, this was kind of based on the notion that you need to treat millennials in the workplace like wild animals. So we compared it to, you know, interacting with a polar bear. Don't make direct eye contact because they might shy away from you, as opposed to, you know, treating them the right way. You peanut them with praise, giving them frequent treats instead of mentioning something at the end of a project that they've done a new job. So by using that analogy, putting together a humorous pitch, we got him a ton of coverage. He was on the Boomer radio show. He wrote a column for the Huffington Post and for MSN.ca. My favorite device, and really there's like 6 ways to make things newsworthy. We can only get to 3 today, but is to poll in the media. So basically, how does that work? Well, polls illustrate in numbers and percentages how Canadians feel about certain hot-button issues. They indicate a trend or position that you've created yourself. So you already know what people are going to say, and you're controlling the answers. And polls, because there's so much convergence in the media right now, because there's so much content that has to be generated for in such a small amount of time, it's an excellent opportunity to sort of provide the media with your own PR story. So, you know, can I tell you a secret? I know there's like 150 people. I can't actually see you because of the lights, but can I tell you the big secret about polls? I think I can. I'm going to take a chance. Well, you can't even see what the secret is. So it's a very well-kept secret, ladies and gentlemen. The secret is that the media don't actually care anymore if things are statistically accurate. What they care about is that it's an interesting poll. So that's not going to apply if you're talking about anything that's life-threatening, financial, or that's a very, very serious issue. But generally speaking, if you put together a poll, even if there's a low number of respondents, even though if it's not scientific per se, you can get away with it in the media and you can get some great coverage out of it. If you write the poll questions, you're controlling the outcome and you control the choices. It's fantastic. You know what people are going to say when you write poll questions. And polls have to be timely and clever to tap into the water cooler. They have to be something that people are talking about. Again, Rob Ford can't lose with a poll right now, or anything else related to Rob Ford. So talking about polls, FlightNetwork.com, one of our big clients, they're the #2 in Canada online travel site. We've done a lot of polls with them. So we've done worst airports poll in 2011, 2012, and 2013. So here's another secret. It's always Pearson. Because so many people travel through Pearson that it's the one that everyone has the most experience with. It kind of makes sense, right? We've done celebrities on a plane, which is basically what celebrity would you like to sit next to if you were on a long plane flight? Surprisingly or not surprisingly, no one wants to sit next to Justin Bieber. Celine Dion. Far and away, everyone wants to sit next to Celine Dion, which surprised me, but whatever. Haunted destinations, great timely Halloween-inspired poll. Getting a lot of coverage with that kind of thing. So here's what I want you to remember about making your own news and about 3 things that can make anything newsworthy. So you got to be first. You have to be first out the door. If you think something's a good idea, roll with it. What's the worst that can happen? Be different. Say something that no one else is saying. Be bold. Take some chances. Because, remember me half asleep, 3 o'clock in the morning going through 300 faxes. You got to wake that guy up and get him interested in your story. Be clever. Downloadable digital lawn signs, pretty out-of-the-box idea. Have the best ideas, and don't be afraid to make the news. I think that there's a perception that the media is smarter than you are, that they are going to see through you trying to make a pitch, that somehow it's not going to seem authentic. At the end of the day, what you need to do is provide them with great content. They just want to have a good story, get it out to their audience, and go home, just like everyone else does. So don't be afraid of the media, and don't be afraid to engage with them. So thank you very much. There's some ways that you can create your own news. I hope that helps.